Victoria Bruce is from El Paso, Texas. She was at the scene when Charisma James jumped in front of that car to save those three students at a school that your children go to. Is that right, Victoria?
Yes, that's correct.
So were you actually there when this all happened?
Yeah, I was standing about 200 yards away. I had just picked up my two kids that my daughter is in class with one of Charisma's children, her little boy, and was in class with her little girl last year.
And this was the first day of school, right?
It was. We had all just seen each other that morning at drop-off and could never have imagined what the day would hold.
I totally feel you because I was looking on your Facebook page and I was just struck by I was so saddened to see like before this had all happened, you and what appears to be your husband had just dropped the kids off and you guys were fooling around and joking around about how it was great to, have your freedom back. And I bet you just long to be back at that moment before this tragedy happened.
Yeah, absolutely. It was. It's actually interesting because that morning when we got to the school, my husband and we walked into the cafeteria to drop off the kids, and I saw Charisma, and we hugged, and I asked her how her summer had been. I hadn't seen her over the summer much except at church a few times, and she said, Victoria, she goes, it wasn't long enough. She goes, I could have 4 more weeks with the kids. I didn't get enough time. And I laughed and I said, well, I'm ready. I'm pushing my kids off to the teacher. And I just respected her so much because that's the kind of mom she was. She loved those babies so much.
So when did you realize that something had gone horribly wrong the other day? After the first day of school, all the parents are there picking up their kids. Including Kharisma James, who's from New Bedford, right here in town. She moved out to El Paso, Texas, because she was in the Army, right?
That's correct. Yeah, it was. I mean, just shortly after we had picked our children up from their teachers, we were standing around visiting, and we were actually planning on taking our kids into the library to avoid the afternoon pickup chaos. And all of a sudden, I heard just the most horrific metal crash. It sounded, as loud as like a metal crash on the freeway. It was so loud. Like I said, we were only 200 yards away, and I looked over, and I'm 6'1", so I could see over the crowd of people at least to see that there were cars that were, piled into each other, and I saw the massive amount of parents and children running towards it, and my kids began to run towards it. And I grabbed onto them and I said, no, mijo, mija, we can't go over there. I don't want you to be over there. We don't need to be, causing any more problems. If they need help, well, let's leave room so that people that can help them would help them. I never imagined, though, that it was anything like this. I prayed it was just, a fender bender that someone in the parking lot, had backed into another car, and that was all it was. But within, 2 minutes, less, that you heard people start screaming, and Chelsea, the organizer of the GoFundMe, the original organizer, she came running towards us screaming, asking if there were any doctors or nurses there, because she herself is a nurse, and she was looking to see if there were any others there that could help respond to the scene.
So now when there was a grandfather there that was picking up his grandkids, and somehow, can you help, walk me through that? He was trying to back up out of the parking lot, pull forward out of the parking lot, and then ended up, hitting these kids. Can you help me out with what happened there?
What happened exactly with that seems to be confusing to a lot of people. And like I said, I wasn't in the parking lot, so I can't speak to the details of that from a personal account, but from all that I can deduct from friends of mine that were directly there is that Hawking, the 58-year-old man that was in the vehicle, it's not confirmed if he was picking up grandchildren or his own children, was in the vehicle. It said that there might have been a woman in the vehicle with him, and that from what I've heard, backed up and hit first the 10-year-old boy and then pulled forward, where he possibly then, at that point, I understand, hit Kharisma and her children the first time. And then at that point, they say he was disoriented, and that's when he hit the accelerator, and that's when unfortunately, she jumped in front of the kids, realizing that the car was moving forward again, and that's when she lost her life.
What just a tragedy. We're talking to Victoria Bruce. She was on the scene when Kharisma James, who is from New Bedford, 33 years old, died shielding these kids from that moving car. How has the town, been since this happened a couple of days ago? It must have just reeled the town.
It's very somber. It's hard, I think, when we've been dropping the kids off at school. You see it in the parents and the administrators and the teachers' faces. The kids are, seemingly okay as they walk in. They're excited to see one another. Lots of questions, but you see it on the parents' faces as we drop them off. You don't want to let go of your kids. It's that reminder that at any given moment, life is short, and the worst nightmare a parent could ever have, to be separated from their children. We all witnessed it. And so it's just been, I think, a testament, though, to the strength of our community at how quickly they have rallied around this family and our school. We began this GoFundMe campaign to support the children, and, I mean, the original organizer on the campaign, she thought, maybe we'll raise $500 for the kids, and it has absolutely exploded. We've been able to share it across the country and now internationally, and in less than 2 days raise close to $25,000. And
wow.
At this point, realistically, I would love to set a goal that maybe we could help these two kids to have fully funded, college education.
Yeah.
And that could be something that, like their mom, she worked her way through school and put a huge priority on education, as I'm sure you've read.
Victoria, thank you for your time very much this morning. Before we let you go, when we put the story up on fun107.com, we just kept seeing, comments from some of Kharisma's classmates back in high school, what a good person she was. For somebody who may not have known her when she lived here in New Bedford, or maybe haven't seen her for years since she had bounced around in the Army, what was your take on Kharisma James for the time that you knew her and the time you spent with her out in Texas?
Well, I met her this last spring when we moved our kids to Tippin Elementary, and it was on a field trip with my daughter. And after talking with her for a few minutes, I said, well, I'm sorry, excuse me, let me introduce myself. I'm Victoria. And she goes, well, hi, I'm Kharisma. And I told her, you didn't even have to tell me that. I could have guessed in a heartbeat that was your name, because this woman exuded charisma. So, yeah, she was an amazing woman.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And tell us about that GoFundMe. Where can we find out about that?
So you can go to the GoFundMe website and look up the Holland family. We've also posted it. It's pretty much all over Facebook at this point. It's on my Facebook page, Victoria Havens Bruce. And if you guys would link it on your Facebook page or on your website, we would greatly appreciate it.
Victoria Bruce, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Have a great day.
Thank you. You as well.